What if the most powerful thing you could do for your joints, your skin, and your sleep was already sitting on a pharmacy shelf and cost less than a cup of coffee? Most people walk right past it every single day. And tonight, that changes. Before we go any further, if you are the kind of person who takes their health seriously and wants real, useful information without the fluff, tap that like button right now. Then hit subscribe, because this channel is built for people who want honest answers, not just trending advice. And if you have someone in your life, a parent, a spouse, a friend, who wakes up stiff and sore every single morning, share this video with them. What you're about to learn could genuinely change how they feel. Now, let us talk about something that does not get nearly enough attention. There is a shift that happens in the body somewhere between your 40s and your 60s. It is not loud, it does not arrive with a warning. But one day you notice that the ache in your knees from yesterday is still there today, that your skin feels drier than it used to, no matter how much water you drink, that getting out of bed in the morning takes a little more effort than it once did, a little more negotiating, a little more convincing your body that today is worth moving for. This is not weakness, this is biology. As the body gets older, it does not stop repairing itself. It just becomes more dependent on what you give it. At 25, the body compensates for almost everything. Poor sleep, skipped meals, physical stress. It absorbs the damage and bounces back without much help. By 65, the margin is narrower. The body still does the work, but it needs better inputs. It needs the right environment, especially during the hours when it does the majority of its repair, which is during sleep. This is why what you do in the hour before bed matters more than most people realize, not because of some wellness trend, because of basic biology. The skin is actively regenerating during sleep. Joints that were compressed and stressed throughout the day are finally getting a chance to breathe. Inflammation that built up from movement and friction has a window to quiet down. The question is whether you are giving your body the tools it needs during that window or leaving it to manage without them. Tonight, we are going to talk about 5 oils, each one applied to the skin before bed, each one doing something specific and distinct for the body. And the one at the top of this list is going to surprise you, not because it is rare or expensive, because it is the complete opposite of that. And what it does to joint pain, inflammation, and skin repair has serious scientific research behind it. Let us start at number 5 and work our way to the one that matters most. Number 5 is almond oil. If you have ever noticed that your skin has become harder to manage as you have gotten older, drier, more reactive, slower to heal after minor cuts or irritation, there is a specific reason for that. The outer layer of your skin contains a natural protective barrier. Think of it like a seal that holds moisture inside and keeps irritants outside. As the years pass, that barrier becomes thinner, less reliable. The result is skin that loses moisture faster than it can replenish it, and skin that suddenly reacts to things it handled fine for decades. Almond oil works because its fatty acid profile is remarkably similar to the building blocks of that barrier tissue itself. When you apply it, the skin does not have to work to break it down or adapt to it. It recognizes it, uses it. The skin absorbs almond oil efficiently and uses it to reinforce exactly the layer that has been thinning with age. It also contains vitamin E in its natural form, which works quietly against the kind of cellular damage that accumulates over years of sun exposure, environmental stress, and ordinary aging. There is no heavy, greasy residue, no strong smell. It is gentle enough for sensitive skin. A small amount warmed between your palms and pressed into dry areas, hands, elbows, legs, feet. Before bed is one of the simplest things you can do for your skin overnight. Simple, inexpensive, and it genuinely works. Number 4 is jojoba oil. And this one is interesting because it is not technically an oil at all. Jojoba is a liquid wax. Its molecular structure is closer to the natural sebum your skin produces than almost any other substance found in nature. That matters because when you apply something that closely resembles what your skin already makes, the skin does not resist it. It does not sit on top of the surface the way heavier oils can. It absorbs cleanly without the greasy feeling that puts a lot of people off using oils on their skin in the first place. But here's the part that most people do not expect. Because jojoba is so similar to the skin's own natural oil, it actually helps regulate the skin's behavior. Skin that has spent years being chronically dry sometimes develops an imbalance. It overproduces oil in some areas and remains dry in others, a frustrating cycle that seems to get worse with age. Jojoba helps calm that pattern. It signals to the skin that moisture levels are already balanced, which reduces the erratic behavior. For visible surface changes, the kind of redness, roughness, and uneven texture that builds up from decades of sun, wind, and time, consistent jojoba applied before sleep tends to soften those over weeks. Many people notice the difference first on the backs of their hands and along the neck. The skin looks quieter, more even, less like something that needs constant managing. A few drops warm between the palms, pressed gently into the skin before bed. That is all it takes to start. Number 3 is vitamin E oil. You have heard of it. Almost everyone has. But most people do not fully understand what it is actually doing inside the skin, and why it becomes significantly more important after the age of 60. Every year of normal life generates what researchers call oxidative stress. Invisible, slow, cumulative damage caused by environmental exposure, cellular processes, and time itself. You cannot feel it happening, but over decades, it accumulates and it shows up. Uneven skin tone, dark spots that appear and never quite fade, skin that loses its elasticity and begins to look tired even when you are not. Vitamin E works by intercepting that damage at the cellular level. Applied to the skin at night, when the skin is in active repair mode, it gets into the deeper layers and addresses that oxidative damage directly. The results are not instant, but they are real and they compound over time. What people tend to notice first in practical terms is this. Small cuts and skin irritations stop taking as long to heal as they used to. Spots that have been sitting on the hands and forearms for years begin to soften in color. The skin on the hands, which always seems to age faster and more visibly than the rest of the body, starts to look more even. There is also growing research into something worth mentioning. For people who deal with chronic joint discomfort, vitamin E applied topically over a painful area appears to have a gentle anti-inflammatory effect that goes beyond just the surface. The research is still building, but the signal is consistent enough that it belongs in this conversation. One practical note, vitamin E oil is thick. A little goes a long way. Many people blend a few drops into almond or jojoba oil to create a combined nighttime treatment that covers multiple benefits at once. It is a simple blend, and it works well. Now, number 2, and this is where the conversation shifts into territory that genuinely surprises people. Number 2 is frankincense oil. When most people hear frankincense, they think of something ancient and ceremonial, something belonging to a different era. What they do not know is that in the last 2 decades, frankincense has become a serious subject of scientific investigation, specifically for what it does to joint inflammation. Frankincense comes from the resin of the boswellia tree. It contains a group of active compounds called boswellic acids, and those compounds that have been shown in peer-reviewed clinical studies to inhibit a specific enzyme that drives the kind of chronic inflammation behind joint pain and stiffness. This is not folk medicine passed down through generations without evidence. This is documented in the scientific literature, studied in controlled trials, and taken seriously by researchers in rheumatology and inflammation science. When massaged into the skin over painful joints, knees, hips, hands, shoulders, lower back, frankincense delivers those anti-inflammatory compounds directly to the tissue beneath. You are not relying on the digestive system to process and distribute it. You are putting it exactly where it needs to go. People who use it consistently tend to describe the same kinds of changes. Mornings that feel different, getting out of bed without that familiar minute of slow negotiation before the knees are ready to carry weight, less stiffness in the hands during the first hour of the day, a body that feels less like it needs to be coaxed into movement. For the skin, frankincense supports cellular turnover, the process by which old skin cells are replaced by new ones. This naturally slows significantly after 60, which is part of why skin tone and texture change so noticeably with age. Consistent frankincense use tends to produce gradual improvements in both over weeks. And there is one more thing worth saying about it. Frankincense has a warm, deep, resinous scent that directly activates the brain's calming pathways. For people who find it difficult to fully unwind at the end of the day, whose minds stay busy even when the body is tired, this is not a small detail. It is part of what makes frankincense particularly well suited for nighttime use. The ritual of applying it carries its own kind of signal to the nervous system. It is time to slow down. It is time to rest. Always dilute it in a carrier oil before applying. A few drops in almond or jojoba oil massaged slowly into the areas that ache. Do this consistently and give it weeks before you judge it. Now pause for a second. If you have made it this far and you are finding this genuinely useful, the kind of practical, grounded information you actually want more of, this is your moment. Right now, before we get to number 1, take 5 seconds to subscribe. Then leave a comment below telling us which oil you are going to try first. Your comment helps other people find this video, and reading your responses is genuinely one of the best parts of running this channel. You matter here. Now let us get to the one that started this whole conversation. Number 1 is castor oil. If you were expecting something rare, something imported from an obscure corner of the world, or something that costs a fortune, what comes next is going to catch you completely off guard. Castor oil has been available in pharmacies and corner stores for over 100 years. It appears in healing traditions from ancient Egypt to Ayurvedic medicine to folk remedies passed through generations of families in almost every culture on Earth. And then, sometime in the middle of the 20th century, modern medicine moved on. Pharmaceutical products took over. Castor oil got quietly shelved. The research, however, never stopped. Roughly 90% of castor oil is made up of a single compound called ricinoleic acid. No other plant oil in the world contains ricinoleic acid in any meaningful concentration. And ricinoleic acid does something unusual. It interacts directly with the body's pain and inflammation receptors through the skin. Not metaphorically, not indirectly. It binds to specific receptors in the body's pain signaling system and produces a measurable anti-inflammatory response. A study published in the journal Phytotherapy Research took people with knee pain and compared castor oil applied to the skin against a standard pharmaceutical anti-inflammatory gel, the kind prescribed for arthritis, over 2 weeks. Castor oil performed comparably. An oil that costs a few dollars with no known side effects matched a pharmaceutical drug in a controlled clinical study specifically for joint pain. That result deserves more attention than it gets. Here is how to use it properly, because the method matters. Warm a generous amount of castor oil between your palms. The warmth helps it absorb more effectively. Massage it slowly and with real pressure into the areas that cause you the most trouble. Knees, hips, lower back, shoulders, ankles, fingers. Then cover the area with a soft cloth. Either apply gentle warmth from a low heat pad for about 20 minutes, or simply let it sit overnight. People who do this consistently describe changes that feel almost incremental at first, and then become impossible to ignore. Buttoning a shirt without wincing, opening a jar on the first try, walking from the bedroom to the kitchen in the morning without that slow, careful, testing each step routine that joint pain tends to impose. The changes are quiet, but they accumulate. For skin, castor oil is extraordinarily thick, and that thickness is a feature, not a flaw. It forms a seal over the skin that prevents moisture from escaping overnight. For cracked heels, dry and splitting knuckles, rough elbows, the persistent dryness that no regular moisturizer seems to fix permanently, castor oil provides the kind of coverage that actually lasts until morning. For the face and neck, blend a few drops into jojoba or almond oil to thin it out and make it easier to apply without feeling heavy. And here is something that many people who establish a nightly castor oil routine report after several weeks of consistent use. They are sleeping more deeply. The connection is not fully understood yet, but the two most likely explanations are these. First, the reduction in low-level joint discomfort that may have been interrupting sleep without them fully realizing it. Second, the effect of the ritual itself, a quiet, deliberate act of caring for the body before bed, that signals to the nervous system that the day is done. The most important variable with castor oil is not how much you use. It is how consistently you use it. A nightly application maintained for 8 to 12 weeks will produce results that an occasional application simply will not. The body responds to patterns. Give it one. So let us put this all together. Because the point of this conversation was never really about 5 oils on a list. It was about what your mornings feel like. It was about getting out of bed and feeling like the day belongs to you, not like you have to negotiate with your body before you can start it. It was about walking without bracing yourself, about using your hands without thinking about your hands, about playing with grandchildren or gardening or doing the things you love without spending the next 2 days paying for it. We spend enormous energy looking for big solutions, the pill that fixes everything, the procedure that turns the clock back, the breakthrough that changes everything overnight. And all of it passes right by something that has been sitting in plain sight for generations. 10 minutes. Before bed. Every night. 5 oils, each one specific to a different part of what the aging body needs most. Skin barrier repair, moisture balance, cellular protection, inflammation control, deep joint relief. None of these is a miracle. But together, applied consistently, they work with the body's own repair process instead of replacing it. They give the body what it needs during the hours when it is already doing the work. Small, consistent habits compound in the body exactly the way they compound everywhere else in life. Not all at once, not dramatically, but steadily, week after week, the mornings begin to shift. They get a little easier, a little less painful, a little more like the mornings you remember. That is not a small thing. That might be one of the most significant things available to you right now, and it is available tonight. Here's what I want to leave you with, and I mean this genuinely. The knowledge that grandparents once passed down to their children and grandchildren, the home remedies, the practical wisdom, the things that worked long before there was a pharmaceutical for everything. That knowledge did not disappear because it stopped being true. It disappeared because it stopped being profitable to talk about. What you learn today has been known for centuries. It has been validated by modern research, and it costs almost nothing to begin. Start tonight. Pick one oil. Warm it between your palms. Apply it to the place on your body that needs it most. Do it again tomorrow night, and the night after that. 3 months from now, pay attention to your mornings. Notice whether getting out of bed is a little easier. Notice whether your hands move more freely. Notice whether the walk to the kitchen feels different than it did today. The body is still capable of remarkable things. It just needs you to show up for it. Quietly, consistently, night after night. If this video gave you something real today, do one thing before you close it. drop a comment below telling us which oil you're going to start with tonight. Read the responses too. This community has a way of teaching each other things that no single video ever could. And subscribe if you want to keep getting honest, grounded content made for people who have earned the right to take their health seriously. Take good care of yourself. You deserve mornings worth getting up for.